Hello. So this is going to be a tiny bit of a different part. At least the first minutes of this you will see something different. I've tried experimenting with some stuff in terms of editing this video. In the sense that I've summarized a bit of the investigation here and left in some of the noteworthy moments slash commentary I made. From the beginning of this till around 6 minutes, 7 minutes or so, and from that point onward, the rest of the video is going to be going like in its normal routine as such. Like eventually in this part I'm going to go back to the normal routine of editing, so let me know what you think. Consider this part something along the lines of trying to add up a different spice to a meal. Like maybe I just wanted to try out something new once in a while and see your feedback and such on what I could do in this to make it even more enjoyable to you viewers than before. So yeah, there you have it. The part will begin now. So we ask Gregson about the case. He says that it is pretty much set in stone that Gina is the one who did it. So they are charging her and putting her in trial for tomorrow. Yeah, pretty typical, I'd say. He says there are some definitive evidence, which Iris deduces it from him in typical Iris fashion. Apparently they caught the two people that ran away last night. Gregson reassures Iris that Sholmes will be fine, and he tells us more about how Iris's Adventures of Herlock Sholmes ties his salary to it. That if there is good word in the stories about him, then his salary increases. Anything bad written about him, and his salary gets cut. I think we found our Edgeworth and Gumshoe dynamic here, folks. The whole thing gives me the willies. I can tell you how many nights of sleep I've lost worrying about it. But then what happened, Greggsy? Every month when the new Rants magazine comes out, my hands are trembling as I turn the pages. Oh, awful for you. Here, have some IT to settle your nerves. With pleasure. Oh, lovely. They really hit the spot. Total. Okay. I swear they really did not have to animate that, but they did. Ah, by the way, apparently Gregson has a message for us coming from Susato. She didn't have the fare for a return and thus asked us to go to Lord Strongheart's office, where she was summoned. You know, I really like what is going on over here with how he munches on his, like, chips and such. Like, they could totally have him munch on the food, but the food would not, you know, get munched on. They would stay the same. But no, instead he eats them. Like, there are bites on the chips, and then what he does, he basically just shoves it a little bit to change the positioning, almost as if he is changing with like the new chips that are untouched a little bit there. They didn't have to do that, but again, it's what they call attention to detail, I guess. Why did Susie have to go see the Lord Chief Justice? Because if they wanted the animation to go for a really long time, well, the chips would run out at some point, so they had to do something about that. So Gregson just shakes it a little bit. Okay, well, sadly, it seems that we cannot investigate the place. Not without proper representation papers signed by the accused, Gina. Darionosuke is her lawyer, so we have to get her to approve him before we can do anything here. I guess until then, we'll go and see Susato and Lord Cheese of Justice. And... very good. There is nothing further to discuss. You may return to your lodgings. Now that you have much to do in preparation for your return to your homeland. Wait, what did you just say? Return to homeland. Why did I get the feeling that this is what it was about? Return to your homeland. Sato-san. God damn it, you're not putting a Maya Fey on me recently. Oh, Miss Naruto. Seriously, Susato. Like you're pulling you're pulling a Maya Fey on me, like leaving this early on to do your thing for a while until you come back, which would probably take like months and months, especially with how slow the like the ride between this place and Japan is, like a month and a half. That's like a minimum 3 months without you, Sato. What was that all about? Ah, Miss Naruto. Thank you for coming to collect your colleague. What's this all about? Why were you talking about Miss Sato's return to her homeland? And... and... tomorrow?
Tomorrow? Well, what about Gina's trial?
You mean... she's being formally charged now? Oh dear. We asked Susato what is going on, why this is happening. Sadly, it seems that her father, Mikotoba, the guy that we've seen back in Japan, has fallen ill 10 days ago, and the cause is certainly unknown at this point. So she has to go back fast and see him, and she will leave London first thing tomorrow morning. Ah, great. And thus, we also discussed in regards to Gina's case and how Susato may not even be there to help tomorrow. Strongheart is being an ass and seeing the case as insignificant. Nonetheless, Ryonosuke does request permission for him to defend Gina, which is good because she refused all public lawyers, as we've learned before. Blech, what a day. Gina is accused of murder, Sholmes is in hospital, Susato has to leave. Is there anything that will go in our favor for once? Come, Miss Naruto. Iris. We must make haste.
But, Susie, you're leaving for Japan tomorrow morning, aren't you? Don't you have packing and things to do?
As Miss Naruto's judicial assistant, my personal circumstances are of no consequence. My sole purpose remains to help you in whatever way I can. Thank you, Miss Sato. That's a very pensive look. I think we ought to visit Gina first. In any case, I should like to wish her well before I leave.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Let's go.
If I'm honest, this has completely thrown me off. I just have to do what I can as a lawyer. So we go back once again to prison to see Gina. Ah! Hello again, Gina. What are you lot here for now? I swear, one day you're gonna try and reload that grenade launcher and it's gonna explode in your face. If you don't handle it well. And to have the muzzle of that grenade launcher shoved in our faces yet again, obviously.
I think I need to improve the way you load ammunition to that thing, don't I?
I love that. Oh, look. You can come as many times as you like, but I ain't got nothing more to say to you. Yeah, okay. Like, what I was trying to say before was, I really love those grenade launchers with those huge barrels. Like, you shoot one grenade launcher, boop, and then you rotate, like, the huge barrel, boom, boom, boom. And then after all is said and done, you have to reload the entire thing. Like, it's really satisfying. Not that I have like any personal experience with that, no, that's just shut up.
Gina, I wonder if you might hear me out. There's something I'd like to say.
What?
I'm sorry to say that I must reluctantly bid you farewell.
Eh?
Farewell? Tomorrow, I must begin my journey back home, to Japan. I fear we may never meet again.
Oh, don't say that. I mean, you go to Japan, but you cannot say that you're never gonna meet each other again.
Oh, right. I have had the pleasure of meeting so many lovely people here in London. I have so many wonderful memories. And yet, as things stand now, it will be a glum parting indeed. Poor Ice is so miserable. Susie. Well, that ain't my business. Both Iris and Miss Naruto believe you to be innocent, Gina. They put their faith in you. But somehow, you cannot find it in your heart to put your faith in them.
Yeah, that's right. I cannot. What of it?
It grieves me greatly to have to say goodbye to my friends when they are so clearly unhappy.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to think about it this as well. Gina, Susato and Iris, we all do care about you. So are you just gonna try and make us unhappy like this in this situation by not having faith in us? What do you say?
Because of you.
It's my fault?
Yes. So I have one final request, Gina, before our paths never cross again. Right here and now.
Okay, one thing that I want to say. Maybe Susato doesn't mean it when she says that they are never gonna cross paths. Maybe she's trying to add up a little bit more sadness to it in order to convince Gina a little bit. Maybe.
I want you to show both of them that you don't deserve the faith that they've invested in you.
Eh?
Only by doing that will you truly be as alone as you claim to be.
What are you talking about? What do you expect me to do, eh?
You've told us that everyone lies.
So prove it. By admitting one of your own untruths.
What about what you said before, Jeannie? It said something about unforgivable lies. You must tell Miss Naruto and Iris the truth now. That is my last request before I leave. My last request as a judicial assistant.
No, I cannot. You sure can. Whatever these lies are, they're obviously weighing very heavily on Gina's mind. Yeah, more than likely. Gina, I could be wrong, but is this something to do with what happened 2 months ago? Something about that trial. The one in which Magnus McGilded was acquitted. In the case of the mysterious murder that took place inside the omnibus, you were called as a witness by the prosecution. Is that what this is about?
Yeah, you're right. Because in that trial, I lied. I lied like you wouldn't believe.
Okay. Can you tell us about it? Will you tell us about it now? For our sake? For Susato's sake?
Like you said, it all happened 2 months ago. The coppers got hold of me and shoved me in the witness stand.
And based on your testimony, Mr. McGilded was declared innocent.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I lied about a whole bunch of stuff.
I knew it.
What sort of thing did you lie about?
Okay, well, I guess one thing off the top of my head that I'm curious about is the state of the stuff inside the omnibus. If it was there before, or if it was not there before. How did they all disappear and all? And there are surely a bunch of other stuff that we'll need to discuss.
I was hiding under the seat that night. That was the truth. It was pitch black in that little cubbyhole. I couldn't see a thing. And then I heard that loud thud, like someone falling on the floor.
And that's when Mr. McGilda discovered you.
Yeah. He pulled me out from under the seat and set me next to the dead man. There weren't much light to see by, but when I looked at me hands, I had the cub's blood all over them. I was so scared. I couldn't even speak.
He had his blood on her hands? In other words, it was Gina that the witnesses on the roof deck saw through the skylight. Apparently so.
Then Mr. McGillet started asking questions, I suppose. Who you were, and why you were hiding under the seat. Yeah, it did. Only, that's not all.
What do you mean?
I mean, he threatened me.
Threatened you? How?
He made me swear. About what I'd seen and what I'd heard. And about what he was gonna do after the cub was found dead.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
He made me swear I wouldn't tell no one about any of it. If I did that, he said he'd let me scarp it before the copper showed up.
Gina, you must tell me what he swore you to secrecy about. What you saw, what you heard, everything. I guess we shall take some notes over here. First things first, what you actually saw. You said Mr. McGildet made you swear not to tell anybody what you saw. Well, you were in the pitch black compartment under the seat the whole time, weren't you?
Yeah, with Mr. McGildet sitting above your head, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that's true, but it was when I heard the thud of the cub hitting the floor. I let out a little scream, see. I couldn't help it. McGildet heard that and dragged me out by my arm. And that's when I saw it. It was on the floor next to the old gears or where I had been stabbed. A desk, all bright and shiny.
Ah, okay then. A disc.
A disc?
Do you mean...
Yep, that's it. The one what the D took off me at the Windymax.
So the music box disc was there? On the floor of the omnibus?
Not for long. McGildet spotted it straight away. He picked it up smartish and stuffed it in his side pocket.
So that disc was in the omnibus 2 months ago, at the scene of Mr. Mason's murder. Okay, well, I'm actually pretty curious. Okay. So there was a loud thud. And it was actually the music box disc. Wait, how? You stuffed it inside a pocket. The music box disc? Huh. Either it's a huge one and McGilded's pocket is like infinite inventory, or it is rather small in comparison. Like something portable, I guess. And then Gina saw the disc that was left on the floor as well.
And the bug rider told me. I wanted to mutter a word of it to no one.
Okay. The thing is though, there are like 2 discs. And we don't have it anymore, but there was stuff said about that. And Edgar Benedict mentioned like a second one that he wanted as well. So there are 2 of these.
Because it was so dark under the seat in the cab. I was straining my ears the whole time. I thought, wow, I heard the door and footsteps inside the cabin. Presumably that was Mr. McGilder getting on board. Nah, only him.
Oh? Oh.
Because I could definitely make out the footsteps of 2 people. In that case, it would seem likely that it was Mr. McGilder and the victim.
Mr. Fry's fired Mason.
In his testimony during the trial, Mr. McGilder claimed he slept during the carriage ride. But whenever I'm in a carriage, I am taken with a fierce tiredness. And I always succumb to it. And your own testimony, Gina, supported his. All I could hear was the Irishman snoring. Yeah, that weren't exactly true. Neither of them was asleep. I could hear them talking the whole time, in low voices.
But what were they talking about?
Sorry, I don't know. The sound of the horses and the wheels was too loud. But that still tells us something. Mr. McGilder and the victim knew each other.
Okay, well, I can sort of create like a picture of what happened, like at first view, in the sense that they were talking about some stuff. It could very well be that Mason was the one that had that music box disc and the disc itself. And when McGilder stabbed Mason, the music box fell on the floor with the disc as well. It could very well be that Mason did not want to give him the music box disc and the disc. So what McGilder did was to kill him and then hide the music box. So McGilder was lying as I suspected. And you know, I guess that that sort of... Well, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, could I be wrong about the idea that there were 2 discs? It could be that, well, I don't know, I don't remember the wording exactly, or if I remember something else, but it could be that what Edgar Benedict was expecting was to also get the music box disc that would be in the coat, because if McGilder was able to hide that music box disc, which I assume it is something more like compact or something, to be able to carry it with him like under the coat, then that is what Edgar Benedict was expecting. So it could be that McGilder, after the whole incident with the omnibus happened, ran away to Windyback's pawnbrokery and then deposited that his coat with the music box disc and the disc as well.
I knew it weren't gonna take long before someone raised that alarm that the bloke had been killed. Yeah, you are quite right. The other passengers on the roof deck noticed very quickly. So when the cab came to a stop, Mr. McGilder told me to eye back under the seat again. I climbed in and waited. The 2 cops from top ran off to get the coppers. Yeah, Mr. Fairplay and Mr. First. Right. And after they gone, Mikita asked the driver to do him a favor. Favor? Now then, fella. What I need you to do is take this coat of mine and deposit it with a nearby pawnbroker. And for your troubles, let's see now. I'll give you 10 guineas. Yeah, I guess this actually makes more sense than what I was talking about for him. I was saying as if after McGill ran away from the crime scene and deposited it, but nah, he actually stayed there and had him do the depositing as such. A nearby pawnbroker? You mean on Baker Street? Yep, you got it. It was Windybank's. The coachee snapped up the money and ran off to pop his coat as fast as he could. So then there was no one left in the carriage. Mikita opened the box under the seat and let me get out of there. But not without conditions. I see. Okay. Well then, what about the conditions? What were Mr. Gilda's conditions then? For the Nego free, I mean. Oh, I guess one option would be that if you don't do as he says, then he's gonna accuse you of murder. Not telling us all. Not for anything. About what I saw and what I heard. And there was something else as well. There's more? Yeah. And this is the most important thing, he said. I'm after sending the coachman on a little errand for me. With some small change in his hand. Now then, did he hear what I asked of him? Did he see anything at all? At all? He asked him to go pop your weasel, right? Aye. The fiend's taken me overcoat to deposit with a pawnbroker hereabouts. And I want you, lass, to take the redemption ticket for it. Do you understand? What? You want me to have the ticket? That's right. And I'll come fetch it from you later. Sometime within the next 2 months. You're to hang on to it until then. Is that clear? And whatever you do, don't lose it. Alright then. And in case I might happen to be delayed at all, you're to go to the pawn shop, with it back so it is. And you're to extend the loan before the 2 months is up. If you forget, the article will be forfeited and any old fiend could come along and buy it. Eh? But I ain't got that kind of brass. Here's £5. That should be enough. Do you understand each other, lass? Don't try anything funny now. If you go against me... Yeah, I get it. Good. And one more thing. In a few days from now, you'll be visited by the police. I've no doubt. The coppers? Aye. They'll come asking you to take the stand in court, to testify as a witness. So let's just have a wee chat about that, shall we? What it is that you might say, and what it is that you won't. After you had gone over it all, I picked it. Got as far away from there as I could. He hid the pawnbroker's ticket in some bushes near the scene. Went to fetch it the next day once it got dark. So Mikilda planned it. And coerced Gina into giving false testimony. I bet you're ready to string me up, eh? I lied. In that big old courtroom. I told some corkers.
I mean, it doesn't matter to me, honestly.
The thing is, he said he would make it so we couldn't live in the East End no more. That's what he threatened me with. What a wicked man. He knew everything what went on in the back slums. He knew we had no one to look after us, and we was all just looking out for each other, getting by together. So you mean Mr. Megiddo would have... In a heartbeat. He could have had a lot of us chased out there if he wanted. And then where could we have gone, eh? Nowhere. That's where. So, I didn't have no choice.
I mean, I can totally understand that, Gina. Nobody is putting the blame on you for what happened, since you were threatened by McGilda to do so. I thank you, Gina, for telling us everything.
But I'm afraid now, eh? Go on, admit it. You must believe it.
Well, you can make amends by doing me a simple favor.
Favor? What?
Something in regards to some papers that we have. Signed representation papers for tomorrow's trial.
Eh?
If you don't actually want me to represent you in court, yeah, you can rip it up later. But we need that paperwork or we can't investigate. I mean, certainly the police won't let us because of that.
Investigate what?
The scene of the incident last night, you dummy. Mr. Sholmes was shot, you see.
You what? He's having a big operation right now, Genie. Is it bad? Is he gonna be alright? He's gonna be alright, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's gonna be like any problems with that. It's fucking Sholmes. He's probably escaping the hospital as is, healthy as usual, like running around in his hospital gown with his butt like all like showing to the rest of the world. And that's why I want to investigate. For Mrs. Sholmes' sake as much as anything. And for you as well.
Right. So what you're saying is, if I sign that bit of paper, everyone's happy. Is that it?
Yeah, basically. Something like that. Miss Sato?
Yes, of course. I have the representation papers here. I don't need no one to stick up for me, though. No lawyer or nothing. Poor Jeannie. She seems so lonely.
Alright. Paperwork signed by Gina to put Leonowski in charge of her defense. Scientists of Scotland Yard detectives gains his access to the crime scene. I didn't. I guess this should mean we can investigate the scene at Windbag's now.
Yeah. And perhaps we can come back to visit Jeannie when we're done there.
You know what this means, folks. Time to finally investigate. I feel like we finally cracked Gina. She is open up to us at last. And I have representation papers. No one else knows just what a responsibility that is. Alright, well, she opened up to us. Now it is time to prove how much we care about her and show her that she's not lonely in this. Let's get to it, Ronosuke. Anyway, for now it means Inspector Gregson cannot stop us investigating at Windbags. Although, something tells me he's not going to be happy about it. Alright, well, time to get into real business this time. Now that we have full access to the investigation scene. Hey, Tobias! Here we are again at the scene of the crime. Now to first these representations in Gregson's ass and see what he makes of them. Hello again, Inspector. Do you have a minute, please? What is it now, Sunshine? You should go and get some rest.
Here you are, Grexy. Here are the representation papers.
Your ladyship? No! How? I don't believe it. How the hell did you get that stubborn little ruggabash to sign that? I salute you. That is good work, that is.
I can see you've been very busy here as well. I want some tea. Special blend designed to relieve fatigue. Don't mind if I do.
Ah, lovely. I can go to heaven right now. Yes, I hardly feel tired at all. I am fit as a fiddle, your ladyship. Would it be right if we investigate the scene of the crime then, while you go somewhere else with your energy? Do as you please. Okay, I was having some technical problems over here. I skipped one text over here, so you don't have to worry about that. Through that door behind the counter. Yeah, the storeroom. That's where I discovered Mr. Windyback and Gina. Right, well, now I'll be getting back to business then. Will you be investigating the storeroom as well, Inspector? If I'm perfectly honest, we need to wrap this up before long. Can't afford to spend too much time on it. But there are so many articles to go through, and it's taking forever. Even with the lads working around the clock. Which is a problem, because there's another case the yard needs to investigate urgently. Another case. Oh, hopefully we're not gonna have like another case, like 2 cases at the same time. That must be what Lord Strongarm meant by far more serious matters before. So what I'm saying is, don't get under my feet, Sunshine. Yeah.
Come on, Dan. Let us not waste any time.
Alright. Well, first things first, I am curious about what is... that still doesn't feel like something that I can investigate, though. And there's the article ledger here, Mr. Windyback's notes, and... Oh? This is someone has left a little photographic print behind. It's a very similar one to the one that we have. Like, in our court record as well. Like, the one, like, right over here. Like, if we were to turn this... Wait, does this mean that... Why would somebody do that? Like, why would they print, like, this photograph of a cat, like, in multiple things? Like, in multiple copies and such.
Oh, look on the back. There's some writing. Is there? Oh, show us, Sissy. Show us.
Yeah, it's probably like another thing over here. Like, this is something that you would definitely see, like, in present day. Like, you have all the ink in the world to do these copies of, like, you write these papers, and maybe you would have like what I'm trying to describe over here, like what is it that I'm trying to describe over here, like those postcards, they have like images on the back that you would see. Like, could they even afford to do that in the first place? Like right here, 15th February, 10:30 p.m. Article deposited, 1 gentleman's overcoat. Loan amount paid, £1. Redemption deadline, 15 April, 10:30 p.m. Gentleman's overcoat pawned for £1. I think it was a very nice fine coat. In fact...
Yep, this must be the ticket for the upcard that Gina redeemed yesterday.
And it's still wearing. Which belonged to McGill. I would never expected the redemption ticket to be handwritten on the back of a photograph, though. Yeah, me neither. And it's the same photograph.
It's just that Windyback just used whatever piece of paper he happened to have to hand.
Oh. You're thinking that's the reason? I guess. But still, like, 2 of the same photographs. But this photograph of a cat. Yeah, it's very familiar, doesn't it? I sure have seen this exact same picture somewhere else recently.
Oh, you're right. Very recently. It's the same as the one Gina gave us earlier.
Yeah? I was forgetting that she gave us that print.
Well, what are you waiting for then, Miss Naruto? Get it out.
Alright. The cog's turn. Okay. Well, okay, it doesn't look, it's not exactly the same. Somebody definitely took more than one picture of the cat, like one after the other. Yeah, they're exactly the same. Ah. The positioning of the cat is a little bit different.
I get it. These two photographs had an amazing secret.
Yeah, secret. What does she mean?
You must tell us, Iris. At once. You really want to know?
Yes. We need you to tell us what you know about this pair of photographs. Okay, well, might as well. We can ask her. So what can you tell us? So Iris, about these two photographic prints, the one we found here on Mr. Windyback's counter, and the one Gina gave us before. What is this amazing secret you mentioned that's hidden between these two identical prints? Is there something else that is different? Like, I don't know, the face... Oh, hold on a second. No, unless... They are actually the same, it's just that... Well, maybe not the same, but the point is, this is one of those 3D photos that we can use on that device on the right.
Actually, that's not quite right.
Sorry?
If you look carefully, the two prints aren't the same. Not exactly.
They're not?
You wanna look at them now?
Yeah, look at the face of the cat. One feels as if the cat is looking more to the right, to his own right. And the other one, the cat is looking dead center at the camera.
Can you see that they're just slightly different from each other?
I think so. It's very subtle though.
But what's the reason for the sole difference between the two prints? Ah, well, it's because they are set, you see.
No, I don't...
This pair of photographs is meant to be used in a stereoscope. Everyone in London is raving about them at the moment.
Yeah, I was thinking of that. Stereoscope. Why is I feel I've heard that before?
Oh yeah, that's what this show showed us yesterday. You see? There it is, just over there.
Yeah, of course. The magical machine that makes pictures look almost real enough to touch.
And actually, it's quite possible to see the same depth in pictures even without one of those contraptions.
What? Really? Wasn't it that Sholmes explained this? Like, if you were to look at it in some way?
Do you know a pair of flat photographic prints can appear to have any depth in the first place?
No, I have no idea.
Oh, wonderful. Then I'll be able to tell you.
She's over the moon. Bless her soul. Should we let her explain though? We need to carry on investigating the scene.
I, for one, simply have to know.
Alright, well, might as well. Tell us! In the most extreme Iris way possible.
Have you ever considered, how I see depth in the world around us?
Well, I just open them and boom, it works. Well, good for you. I, for one, have no sense of depth whatsoever. Well, that's because I have no eyes to begin with. Yo-ho!
But the reason it works is because we have two eyes.
2 eyes. Shocking.
If you try closing just one eye at a time, I think you'll see it straight away. You can see with your left eye, and what you see with your right eye. They're so slightly different. You get a different view with each eye.